All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out so everybody join in here. 1 second, please. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. All right. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. And what a day today! So happy Monday, everybody! I hope everybody had a wonderful and blessed weekend. And thank you, of course, everybody for joining in here this evening. So this week we're going to be doing a series on trades and chart requests. We're going to go over trades and trade ideas that we put out in our group today, and then we're going to take chart requests that you guys come up with, and we're going to see what kind of conclusions we can come up with. So I think it'll be fun. We've done this before, and it's always been popular. So before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. All right, so first things first, we're going to take a look and see where we left off with the market today, and then we're going to take a look at the futures and see what we're up to or down to here this evening, what might be setting up going into tomorrow. And then we're going to go through the topic, which is basically just looking at some trades today, and we're going to try to incorporate some ChatterQuant stuff in there too, of how they inspired us to look at some things. And then we'll take chart requests. So let's get started. All right, guys. So SPX, again, last month, big shooting star candle right off of the top of the channel. Right? Imagine that. We got a little bit of downside follow through off of that reversal candle, and but it didn't stay there long. Right? So again, we're only about 4 trading days into the month here so far, and we've already retraced back up into the range, already a Harami month. So let's see. We'll see if they try to take this month green. We tagged green a little bit today, but we couldn't get any momentum follow through on that one after we took the inside week up, or after we took the inside day up. But just no follow through on that one, right? So we'll have to see where we end up going on this one. So it should be pretty interesting. So again, the wave count is really, really tricky. But again, sometimes you can just look at the candlesticks and be like, okay, this is what's happening, right? So what's happening on the candlesticks is we had a bearish engulfing week 2 weeks ago, right? And that's a very bearish candle, right? It's about almost a 70% chance follow through the downside. And we got that, right? So we got that follow through, and we hit a nice target area right here, right at the 20-day, right? Or the 20-week, which is your mid Bollinger Band on your weekly chart. So kind of cool stuff, right? We did have bearish divergence here off of the RSI, right? So we had a higher high right here and a lower high on the momentum oscillator. We did end up working down. This didn't work several times, right? There were several, just because it looked good here doesn't mean it was working every time, right? We got a lot of these conditions here, back here, and they were all just kind of fake out. So this one just happened to get a little bit of follow through. So just FYI on that. So pretty, now normally this is was super duper effective, but this last run up has just been epic, right? So we've been kind of dealing with that, but all good, right? So nice move there. So that being said, let's take a look at the daily chart. And so to see how this week is looking here so far, just kind of getting started off with. So we started off with an inside day sandwiched between the 80 MA and the 50-day moving average, right? And so to me, that was indicating a lot of chop. And the big thing, the big concern, right, was what type of momentum we were going to get off of Friday's high. And we didn't get much. And so that's kind of disturbing, right? So we pushed, and then we just ran out of steam. And you can kind of tell, right, on the intraday, there really wasn't a lot of volume on the SPY, right, or on the S&P futures, right? So just like example, right, you go here, and there were some nice moves, but it was just slow and grindy. And when the VIX is as elevated as it is, it makes it really, really tough, right? And you can see this was not easy price action here today. So the volume, right, way low for the majority of the day, right? And so this move up right here is suspect, right? Even though we did get a nice little geometric breakout right here, it was just still very challenging. Right, so you can see here, like, big upper shadow, big upper shadow. It's made it very uncomfortable to be in a trade. It did not feel like momentum at all. And then you get this random red candle here. It gives an upper shadow and a lower shadow. And then it makes another move. Very, very stressful stuff. Of course, you get a little bull flag right here to move, and then you get just one candle and no follow through off of that. Right, so actually, really here, towards the end of the day, once we just got really, really high and tight here, right, then we started to really break down at the end of the day. But even this didn't get any follow through. You'd think this candle right here would be this beautiful momentum candle with increased volume. Just never broke down below. It gave you an inside candle, worked its way up, and then just chopped into the end of the day. Very, very tricky price action today. So honestly, guys, I didn't try. Normally, I try not to go a day, or I try not to go at least a 0 DTE day without trading SPX. And today was one that was just hands off for me on this one, right? So pretty interesting stuff here today. And there were opportunities, but they were, if you got involved, they're very, very difficult, right? So we had that type of action here today. Let's take a look at the futures and see what we're up to or down to here this evening, and what might be setting up going tomorrow. So the chop continues. Let me get a little sip of tea here. So the chop continues as we're only up about 25 cents, right? So we're pretty much sideways action here going into the evening session. But there's plenty of time, right? The European market, everybody's cozy right now, and we'll see if they wake up at how they start trading at around 2 a.m. our time, Eastern time, and where we end up. If we get a nice overnight drift, if they try to start working this one up. So again, keep an eye on these geometric lines right here. We actually have a little bit of a triangular type pattern right here. So again, that takes us to about like 10:45 tonight. And then, that's kind of a point of interest if we stay within this range, and then we might get a move one way or the other. So definitely one to track here today. In terms of the move, right, it's beyond the, I guess you could say it would have to break out pretty soon here for this to be any sort of like bull flag type move from today's lows, but it could, and it wouldn't surprise me if it did. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that going into tonight. So other than that, guys, again, we already talked about SPX a little bit in terms of trades, but I'm just going to go over a couple trade ideas that we had this morning on the live stream in our group. Again, guys, if you're interested in jumping in our Discord, be sure to check out the links in the description. Check out our group and look to sign up, so we'd love to have you. But anyway, guys, so this is the kind of stuff that we point out on the live streams. A lot of times we look at the ChatterQuant, right? So the ChatterQuant is an excellent tool that we've talked about several times. There's also links in the description for that one if you want to get involved with them. There's a free version of it, I believe, and then of course there's a version on it that you can get a discount if you click our link here. But the big thing here that I just want to check on this here is just basically how ChatterQuant helps us look for opportunities where not something's not jumping out at us through the day, to show us what social media is talking about. Right, we showed this last night. How different names that are very popular. Chewy's got earnings coming up this week. Tesla obviously is a big name. Baba, a big one with the reversal type stuff. Baba was a huge name here. A lot of conversation about Baba with its reversal candle today. So that was a big one here too. And then of course you've got the the intraday action, right? So Intel had a big move today, right? That was only 10 minutes ago. But if you kind of go back to earlier in the day today, right? So we've got 10, 12, yeah, somewhere around this range right here. So early this morning, right? There was big news, right? There was like Rivian, right? Had some news, right? If we go back here and take a look at Rivian, right? That was this is the type of stuff you don't see this stuff pre-market, right? You can kind of glance and see what we've got going on. And we have Rivian had a big down move here this morning, and LSID got crushed this morning, right? This is a huge one, right? So this is a big one that was on our radar going into this morning too. And this is the dip buy, right? So we cleared these levels here, these pre-market levels here, and you got a nice push on that for a nice trade opportunity. So that's kind of the cool stuff that we look at using the ChatterQuant. Again, sometimes we see it early in the morning. And then sometimes throughout the day, right? There was other names too, like the cruise lines were very strong today. There's your CCL, right? So you can kind of look at this one here. Let's take a look and see how that looks. So CCL again, very very strong here today. Again with the IWM was strong, airlines were strong, right? Cruise line strong, right? So that was nice to see the chatter on that today through the ChatterQuant. That was pretty early this morning, so plenty of time for that. Like we said, once we see this unusual activity, unusual discussion activity in the airlines and the cruise lines, right? All you got to do from there is look and see how the IWM is performing, right? If the IWM is looking strong, right? If it's making a nice move, or there's a huge dip buy on it, right? Then you can use that as a sector guide to a lot of this stuff here. You got kind of a double bull flag breakout here today, and then it ended up broke the geometric line. And again, these lines we put in the bubble report every market morning. So cool stuff there. And that was those are kind of some of the basic ones, right? So AMD. So this is interesting. So AMD hit, and we are actually pointed this out as a short idea. It was a fast one, and don't forget what we say about short. And if you're day trading, sure, there's a reason, right? It's the opposite of you don't want to be in it for a long time, right? That's kind of the idea, unless unless the whole market is dropping. But this gave us a really nice momentum move this morning on AMD. We really liked the breakdown of the pre-market pivots right here, and it was just a strong drop. And what we liked is we saw the semis were going down, the SMH was going down this morning, right? So when you have your sector behind your move, right, it can really help you just look at the trade and say like, hey, this thing's getting ready to go here. So we got the semis broke down here this morning, right, and you had Nvidia. Which broke down this morning too, right? You could have selected either one. We picked AMD, just happened to have some pretty decent flow on it, and we got again a nice drop down here on Nvidia this morning. Of course, they all rallied, big dip buys, because this is the never-ending dip buy market, right? So we have that going on, but again, a nice find, and another one that was that you could have been exposed to by by the ChatterQuant. So that was one that we looked at on in our group too. So really good stuff there. And then Intel being talked about here a little bit after hours. Again, that had a pretty big day too. What was interesting is Intel is also a semiconductor, right? Considered as whoa! Look at that one after hours. No wonder that got the ChatterQuant. Look at that. Okay, so apparently everybody's talking about Intel right now, and I guess there's a reason why. And what was interesting is that Intel was very strong this morning. It barely had a pullback with the other semiconductors, and it kind of did its own move. I know it looks a little bit, it doesn't look that big right here, but look at what it was. I mean, it was pretty bullish here during the day in its own right, right? Without look at that, yeah. So exactly, yeah. Chatting about it now. Chatting about it now. Live stream links. So Intel with a huge push right there, and nice chatter after hours. So again, this is kind of doing its own thing. Let's take the news and see what we got going on with it here. Intel to list shares in Mobileye unit. Oh, okay. So they're just basically breaking apart of their thing and then selling that publicly. So, but there you go. So everybody's favorite thing. Self-driving cars, right? Automated vehicles, right? So according to people familiar with the matter, the latest move by Chief Executive Pat Gelsinger to revive the semiconductor giants. Exactly. I mean, instead of let's do stuff to make the company like alive again. I love it. Scope Space announced the move which could value Mobileye $50 billion as soon as this week. People said there's no guarantees ultimately will follow through in the offering. On the offering, Mobileye, an Israeli company, Intel acquired in 2018 for $15 billion, specialized chip-based camera systems that power automated driving features in cars. More to come. So so big move there on Intel here after hours on that news. Woo! That's going to be a gapper tomorrow. Let's kind of just zoom in here and see. Wow, what a big move on that one here. So let's take a look and see where we're at. So at this point now, Intel. Oh well, this is a great way to get it into the gap. Right, so this is a huge, woo, look at that. It's basically gonna, wow, this is gonna be an interesting one tomorrow. We should definitely keep this on the radar. So we got this gap here. It's taking us right up here to the top of the gap. So that's very interesting. So, wow. And again, it has a possibility to fade, right? If it can't get above these levels, it can't get above these highs, right? We've got a chance to see this thing fade back down too, which is very, so this could be, Intel could be in play today. Again, one of our members pointed out early this morning too, just with the relative strength on it. It was standing out beyond the rest of the semiconductors, like kind of in its own little world. So wow, really, really cool stuff there on the Intel. So good stuff. Wow. All right. So those are, again, hopefully you guys found that helpful. Again, those are pretty much the main ones that we were looking at in the group today. AMD was a short. You can see the different cool stuff that ChatterQuant's got in there. Check out the links in the description, guys, to get a discount on ChatterQuant and to join our group if you'd like to see how we look at charts and what we talk about during the day. So another one, of course, we looked at early on was Apple had nice momentum this morning. This cleared a couple key levels for us pre-market. Obviously, it reversed, but again, we weren't getting married to it. We were just day trading it. And so we just had a nice breakout over all the pre-market highs. We kind of had this little cup and handle-ish type pattern right here. And then, boom, we got some nice momentum to the upside here. And then you took this inside 5 up for another nice move here on Apple. So it was pretty hot this morning, too. Another one that we pointed out, by the way, was Boeing. The 205 calls were really hot. And look at that. We got the 205 today. So really cool stuff there. Again, it was not easy. Boeing was not easy. This is actually our action name today too in the bubble report, which is pretty cool. Action level is like right down here, so we ended up gapping above it and kind of holding it. So again, it was poised for a move, definitely going into today. So another good one from the bubble report. But anyway, guys, good stuff. So at this point now, if anybody's got any chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window. And we'll get through as many as we can, try to wrap up as early as possible so we can all get a good night's sleep and have another awesome trading day tomorrow. So good stuff, guys. So I know Shirley sending a few in via email. So let's jump over to the daily chart and see what we've got going here. So we've got Shirley's got BNTX. So buy in tech, yeah. So a big move down here to the 50-day moving average. Guys, such an important line. If you did not get our newsletter this weekend, be sure to check that out. We talked about strategies using the 50-day moving average. Very powerful stuff here. So see if this holds, right? See if it holds, but we're definitely in an area of interest that could give some interesting levels on that one. mRNA. I'm actually pretty bearish on this one going into tomorrow. I would have preferred to see it close below the 200-day moving average. That's that pink line down there. Again, below there, I think this thing's got room to get down to 240 and then possibly to the next pivot level, which is around like 220. So keep an eye on mRNA if it does break down below today's low. So that's an interesting one there as well. Pfizer finally cracked and filled the gap. Goodness gracious, it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days for it to do it. but it did it, right? And they did not make it easy at all, right? So we had these moves right here. Very, very strong moves. Looks like they were defending the gap, and today they decided to fill it instead of these other days. Double inside day down, by the way, on Pfizer. Amazing stuff. So again, a weak bearish engulfing candle like this, right? You can see exactly what happened, right? So if you kind of zoom in right here, that's kind of like your wave one move, right? Here's your ABC up, right? So you kind of have this, wave one, wave two, right? And now this is like kind of like a sub wave one, two, and now you can see we're working on wave, essentially a wave three, maybe wave four, and then wave five, which would ultimately be the wave three down, right? So pretty cool stuff, right? So very, very interesting how this came out off of that bearish engulfing day, right? They couldn't reclaim the range, and then have a nice day. They took it a little bit longer on that one. So pretty cool stuff to see that actually ultimately play out. So good find on that one. Good. And what else do we got? We've got ZS. Again, this one got demolished the other day. Big bearish engulfing candle on this one. Stayed below the ADMA. Sat on the 50-day moving average yesterday, just kind of like mRNA is doing today. And then once it lost those lows, just ate up those open gaps below. And look where it went. Look where it found support. Right at the bow and arrow. Right here. Right in the middle of the triangle. Boom. Found support and see ya. Beautiful stuff, guys. Chart patterns is support and resistance. You gotta love it. Also stuff we've done newsletters on. Really cool stuff there. The XLU, really interesting here as well. We pointed this out today in Twitter publicly, that this was like looking like a nice sideways cup and handle pattern off of this candle, and then boom, really, really nice move up there today. So again, see if it stays above this level, and we may actually see more of a breakout in the Utes. And we actually talked about this on we talked about this on Saturday as one of the only bullish sectors out there. If you guys recall, if you guys tuned in our Saturday sector show, this was we mentioned the XLU and we mentioned the TLT, right? So TLT obviously is going to be in its own little world, but the XLU, right, has got some potential. So good stuff there on that one. Good. Well, good stuff, Shirley. Really appreciate it. And John Flores, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see what you got. You got the Bank of America on the radar. So this one's looking interesting. I'm not a huge fan of it right now. The weekly chart is getting tight, right? So if it stays in the lows of the last week's lows, right, this could turn into kind of like a bear pennant type move. So definitely keep an eye on that if it decides it wants to break down. And then or it could be doing a drop-based rally, but again, it looks overall weak, right? And GM too, right? Kind of that weakish type feel to it. The only auto right now, other than maybe Tesla, but Ford, right, is got a doji on that one. But you got Rivian, right, which Ford is heavily invested in, right, which ended up finishing with a green day today. Right, I'd still like to see it get over its IPO highs, but we're just not quite there yet. But good stuff. Good to see you, John. Yeah, really appreciate it. And y'all seeing what's going on? Yeah, let's take a look at NEO. Yeah, so NEO with a doji, right? So we're gonna keep an eye on it and see if it's ready to do a reversal back up, maybe a doji reversal. It's kind of sketchy, actually, guys. We might even get a doji sandwich down on this one. There could be just too much weight on this delisting stuff of the Chinese names, right? So we'll see how those go. Very good stuff. Appreciate it. Let me grab another sip of tea. All right. So good stuff there. And good. So Joseph, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla, guys, held at the right spot, right? So this is a big thing right here. Again, we were bearish on Tesla. We actually discussed it here. Once we broke down this geometric, we had a bunch of questions on it. And we're like, look at Tesla. We're breaking down right here under the ADMA, right? Under the geometric line. And then boom, doji sandwich down right here. And then a little bit of follow through today. We were short on this one on Friday and collected some nice premium on that one. And then it really got some follow through today. But what I liked here is that it held the 750 area, right? The 950 strike. And that happened to correspond with gap support right here. So a bit of a hammer right here. I'm not a huge fan of hammers and just getting long, because if every hammer was along, right, we'd all be millionaires. What I found is that hammers tend to fail more often than not. Which is kind of interesting, right? Or at least they don't get much follow through. And so you can kind of see here this hammer, a big reversal hammer right here, and then barely any follow through, and it worked its way down. So it was kind of tough off of that. But yeah, so let's see how it goes. That doesn't mean we won't chop sideways for a little bit and then get going. So, but see if we continue to hold the gap on Tesla. So good stuff there. And then Amazon, yeah. So Amazon in the zone today. So again, another nice bounce off a key level, two key levels, right? So we had the 200-day right here and the 50-day. Anybody here in the newsletter this weekend? Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful level right here, right? At the 3480, I'm sorry, the 3420. You go intraday here today. look at that sharp move here off of the 3420, and then look where we held the 3350. Was the bounce zone today, and that is exactly what we talked about in the group today as being basically right off of the 200-day. Very, very nice bounce. Confluence right here with the cloud and the 200-day, and a pretty decent bounce there. So is this thing ready to go? Tough call right here, right? To call the bottom on this one would be tough. I know Paul liked this one. He tweeted it out. He's got a pretty strong Elliott wave count on this one, right? So if you just, even if you go like here, if you just put a Fibonacci on here, is to look for some confluence here off of this move to the highs. Right, so you're basically between the 618 and the 786, nice golden zone move right there. Right, and you've got this right here too off of the 886 off of that move. So all in all, pretty decent, right? How I'd hold a couple of these fib levels, the Fibonacci, right, and made a nice move there, and we'll see if we can go. But it rejected the 80 man. It's basically still sandwiched between the 8 and the 50. So kind of an interesting area there for Amazon. So good stuff there. Sri, what's going on? Good to see you. You've got a couple futures on the radar. Let's take a look at it. Of course, we get these. We post these levels in the morning. We ended up having kind of a big range inside day today. We're getting choppy here overnight. Again, 50-day moving average, big level that held, right? So it held the prior day and today. And then tonight, let's see if it gets a move up here, if it wants to get up to the 80MA or not. Big levels of interest. We're just really choppy right now. So again, I'd probably wait till early in the morning and see if you get any action off of those levels. And so good stuff there. And then, of course, you got the ES on the radar, which we glanced at a little bit earlier. So the big levels on the ES tonight. Here, big geometric line that we're starting to poke above right now. So again, not a lot of volume to go with overnight, but see if we can get above here. Maybe it'll try to retest the top of the this old signal zone. So we'll see how that goes there on the ES. So nice stuff there. And OTAS, what's going on? Good to see you. You got FedEx on the radar. So FedEx had some news today. Little news that something like that. There's going to be they said they're going to be having more shipping than ever before. What was the news that came out? So FedEx plans to deliver 100 million more holiday packages versus 2019. So more deliveries than in 2 years ago. They skipped over 2020. So 2020 is not even on the not even on anybody's calendar anymore. It's like, oh, well, how come there's no 2020? Don't you ever say that. FedEx successes outlook too optimistic. Okay. Amid operational challenges, more difficult comps. Morgan Stanley. Thanks, Morgan Stanley. I really appreciate it. Obviously, didn't do too much. Just kind of stayed up here today. But we're too bullish on it. they're doing too well. Right. So anyway, funny stuff. You're too happy. You ever heard anybody say that? Why are you smiling so much? You're too happy. You're too cranky. How am I supposed to explain this to somebody? Anyway, so David, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. AFRM. Let's take a look. AFRM, yeah, big dip buy here on this one here today. This has been a pretty hot name, right? So it's been a meme name for a while. Obviously changed composure massively. We talked about this, right? Especially once we got into the 50-day, right? Drop below it, retest of it, bearish candle, and then boom, back down again here. So it's got a recent 50-day. We got a kind of a gap window right here. Right, that could still be tested. It was a nice attempt here today, but again, there's still, in terms of its just bullish configuration, it's got to get over the 80 MA, it's got to get going again over the 50-day and all that stuff. See how it holds its fresh 200-day. It could be interesting. Z on the radar. This one also had a huge gap down after earnings. Now, this does look like they're trying. Right, Friday was a decent candle with good volume. We're staying above the 80 MA here today with a higher high, higher low on Z. So again, just continue to see if it continues to push over these highs. Right, look for a push over today's high. See if it's ready to get moving over that. Again, this one had some old levels, but I'm just going to go and remove these. We must have traded this a long time ago. That was probably like a fib extension way back yonder. Who would have all these names? Everything that we looked at 2 years ago, like all quintupled in value, right? So I mean, just amazing stuff. But anyway, yeah, definitely keep an eye on these levels right here. Good volume on Friday on the Z. And CFVI, let's take a look. Woo! This thing's a wild one on this one. So yeah, just be careful trading this. That's all I can say. But nasty candle on that one there today too. But good stuff. And Yassine, yeah, so you got Twitter on the radar. Let's take a look. The Twitter. Woo! Twitter made a move. Couldn't quite get over the 80 MA on this one, but it's definitely showing that it might want to try to reverse. I usually, a couple things you can do is you could be like, hey, every time you make a new low, right, just put a level over that candle, right? If we could push above that candle, right, expect some action, right? So over yesterday's high was obviously a good one here today, right? So once we cleared here, right, you can see we got some nice upside movement on Twitter today, so that was pretty cool. And other than that, in terms of follow through, well, let's see, this is all about the forces that be on that one. And then you've also got Disney on the radar. This has been a tough name, but look at that. Decent close, decent push, right? So it has been putting in higher highs, higher lows. So again, it's just basically continuing the trend up right there. So yeah, it's looking okay. It's making a move. Just kind of keep an eye on it, see if it continues to hold these candle highs. Good stuff there. And then Baba. Let's see, we get Baba. So Baba, again, guys, hot name here today, guys. We talked about this morning. Morning star reversal. Morning star reversal. So again, why is it a morning star reversal? Okay, so morning star reversals, right, are 3 candle patterns, right? So we got 1, 2, 3 candles. Okay, so it's these 3 candles right here. You have to be in a downtrend, right? And then what's the first requirement? First requirement is this is your first candle. The second candle has to have a real body below the first real body. The first one's got to be red. The second one doesn't have to be red, but if it is, it's even better, right? And so nice move there. And then the third candle has to close over 50% of the range of the first candle, and we did that here today for sure. So nice Morningstar reversal on Baba. So again, Morningstar reversals, again, about a 65% chance follow through to the upside. The big thing with these that we like to track are usually the retraces, right? Because oftentimes evening star reversal is a little bit more powerful. They're about like a 70% chance of follow through. For some reason, the morning stars don't get as much, which is weird, kind of given this stuff. But usually, right, this kind of happens in the form of some sort of wave pattern, right? So what I usually look for here is the retrace, and so you kind of go up to here and here. I know it's kind of nasty, but if it does pull back, if it does start to pull back, kind of like this A, B, C-ish type pattern right here to the 618, that could be an interesting area to look to get involved in. So definitely keep an eye on that here for Baba. So good stuff there. And good. What else? And keep it the good. Thanks, Yassine. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning in. I love it. So Brett, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in. So you're underwater on SQ since last week. You didn't say to stop like we taught you. I love it. So I sent one of those kind of walk away ones and come back and check on it. Yeah, it always stinks on those. One thing that you can look at here is, oh yeah, it's just, whew, brutal. Yeah, trying to pick a bottom on these names, guys. I don't go for bottom picking. Sometimes I'll go for a little bit of a trade, like see if hey, maybe it'll make it up to the ADMA if it's looking strong enough. It had some good volume that came in on Friday. It looks like a little bit of capitulation. There's some big selling pressure on that one with a lower shadow. Got a little bit more downside follow through. The problem is, right, you still get these lower highs, lower lows, right? And so it's basically just showing downtrend. So you can just look at the candles, right? As long as each candle is migrating down like this, right? We're in a downtrend, right? There could be a reversal candle, right? But one of the ones we'd like to see is something like this, right? So here, we're down, down, down. This candle, higher high, higher low. Tricky here with the inside candle. Got a little bit more fall through the upside, then it'll say, no, rejected, right? So, that's typically what we like to look for, right, when you're trending down. So, here's another example on Square, right? So, Square, down, down. It's key reversal candle, right? Down, down. Double inside, down, up, higher high, higher low, right? 2 green days in a row, and then boom, got a nice little upside move. Retrace right here, and then you look at the bigger picture, right, on this, right, we're looking at early October, right, you go to early October here, right, and you can see inside week, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and you can see that ended up manifesting itself here through October like this, right, so you can just kind of check out the larger candles and go from there. But right now, no real indication otherwise than kind of hoping that hammer turns into a reversal, right, so that's the toughest part about that. But yeah, so good stuff. Awesome. Well, guys, we had fun here today. Brett, thanks so much. Exactly, you're busy meeting. I know exactly. Yeah, when you're working and trading, it's a little bit different. But if you put the stops in, automatically, that's where like if you're working, you're like, oh, okay, well I guess I got stopped out. But then when you go into it, it's like, oh, I wish I said stop on that one. That type of thing. So, but hopefully, look for a green candle over the next couple days, and then maybe look for some confirmation to see if it wants to follow through, right? And then kind of go from there. What else, guys? Good. Well, that's good stuff, guys. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in, and thanks so much, everybody, for your questions and chart requests. We're going to be keeping an eye on this tomorrow. Again, that ChatterQuant, guys, really powerful stuff. Again, check out the links in the description if you're interested. Get a coupon in there if you click the link on that one. But Intel, big move. This is definitely one we're going to keep an eye on the radar going into tomorrow. That's definitely going to be a 15 orber going into tomorrow. And that's kind of one of the big ones right there. A couple of the auto names are interesting. We'll see if the cruise lines, airlines get any follow through the upside, and if they have any more strength in the semiconductors. So those are some of the big ones there. But other than that, guys, like I said, I really appreciate everybody for tuning in, and I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. And we'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning for the Good Morning Market Prep video here on YouTube. And until then, stay healthy out there, and remember your risk first.